Hello again, darlings. This is Jane B. Lee, author of The Red Bitch's Revenge. Red Bitch's Revenge. Um, so I'm here to talk to you about writing, about my books and things like that. Also, this is my third video, and you learn something from each video. I learned from the last video that I used too much eye makeup, too much dark eye makeup, way too much dark eye makeup. So nobody told me, so I did something about it. Anyway, so I'm back again. From our last two videos, we talked about writing, why I like to write in restaurants and bars. The main reason is I get to talk to people. The second reason, there's always a full glass of wine waiting for me. So that's always another good reason to work out of restaurants and bars. As a matter of fact, in my book, in the dedication page, the acknowledgement page, my last acknowledgement is, finally, all the bartenders who kept my wine glass full and gave me space to write. That was my last acknowledgement in the book. It went to the bartenders, one of the greatest people in the world. So anyway, so we talked about writing, why I went to bookstores and things like that. Why I don't go to bookstores if I can help it. Really didn't cover that one, but I prefer bars and restaurants. The other thing that we talked about is when people ask me about writing their own book, they want to write a book, and they're asking me how to do it. And the basic answer is we all do it different. And what you have to do is just sit down and start writing. It's all there is to it. And by the time you finish, you're finished. So you just have to sit down and write. What I'd like to do this time is when somebody picks up a book, first thing I do is look at the cover. And if that attracts them, then they turn it and they look at the back. And if that interests them, then they may open it up and read the first chapter. So, as I told you, I cut the first 5 chapters out of the book. So this was chapter 6. And it goes out this way. I'm going to read it to you. Godzilla meets Stump, chapter 1. Hey, Stump, Rod called out as he and Moses ran Gina down. It hadn't taken long after Ron got out of prison to find Gina and run her down. Hey, Stump, wait up, he called to Gina. Ron and Moses quickly backed the 12-year-old Gina up against a chain link fence. You got me 2 years in a slammer, Ron slapped Gina across the face. You should have never called the cops, Ron angrily spat out the words, slapping her across the face again and again. He grabbed her by the throat, lifting her to her toes. He then ripped open her blouse and pulled up her skirt. The sudden pain of his little finger breaking caused him to release his prisoner. Turning, he faced a tall, thin 12-year-old Dana. What the fuck, he yelled. Moses grabbed Dana by her hair. Dana's well-placed stomp broke 3 critical bones. He quickly lost the use of his left foot as he let go of Dana's hair with a loud fuck. Dana had fallen to the ground when Ron turned to take a swing at Dana. She easily avoided the blow. Before Ron could complete the swing, he felt his 6th rib on his right side break. Moses pulled his gun from the back of his pants. Dana kicked in his right knee, breaking it at the joint. His gun flew across the street as he hit the ground. He was not going to stand for quite a while. Ron tried to kick Dana. She pushed his leg even higher, dropping him on his back. As he hit the ground, Dana dropped a knee in his chest, breaking his 9th rib. With both men down, Dana turned to help Gina up off the ground. Seeing Gina's eyes grow wide, Dana quickly pivoted to react to Ron, pointing a gun at her head. She turned the gun backwards towards the ground, breaking more of Ron's fingers in the process. She then threw a palm at his jaw, breaking it, followed up with a blow to the side of his head. His eyes rolled back as he hit the ground. Turn the page. With the men down, Dana turned to Gina, leaning against the fence, her blouse torn open. Pulling her blouse over her small chest, Dana asked, "Are you okay?" "You're bleeding." Dana saw blood coming out of her nose and lips. No, no, I'm okay. Gina's eyes, which were rolling around in her head, told Dana a different story. I'm Dana. They call me Godzilla at school. And you're Stump, right? Dana said, putting her arm around Gina's shoulders. She walked her down the street, turned their back on the two men lying on the sidewalk. So, Stump, what's your real name? Dana asked calmly. Gina, she said, looking at her protector. I've seen you around the school. Dana was talking to her in a calm voice, as if nothing had happened. Gina's whole body was still trembling. As they rounded the corner 2 blocks down the street, they heard sirens announcing the arrival of the police. There they are, the crossing guard announced, pointing the police in the direction of the fight. The police approached the men with drawn guns. Ron was laying on his back on the sidewalk, out cold, with his gun still in his hand. Moses was crawling across the street. Standing over Moses, the officer asked, Where are you going, buddy? To get my gun and shoot that fucking kid who did this to me, was Moses' answer. No worries, I'll get it, the officer said with a chuckle. He'd never had a confession so fast. That's the first scene. And each time I finish a scene and change the timing, then there's a break. So there's a little break here. Then it goes on. It says, Where do you live, Gina? Dana asked as they walked along over off Piedmont, those apartments, you know. Oh, that's like 10 blocks. My house is just over a few blocks. Let's go there and fix you up. Dana guided her towards the house. Eve was leaving her house for a shift at the hospital when she saw the girls walking up the sidewalk. The minute she saw the way her daughter was protecting the little girl, she knew something was very wrong. When she noticed the torn blouse and blood on the little girl's face, Eve rushed to meet them on the sidewalk. What happened? Mom, this is Gina. She goes to my school. Eve had gotten down on one knee and was examining Gina's bloody lips and nose. The wounds had stopped bleeding, but there was plenty of dried blood on the face. The bruises on her face and neck were just starting to get an ugly purple color. Eve then stopped to look at Dana and do a quick inspection. She didn't expect to see any blood or bruises. Come on with me, honey, Eve said, taking Gina by the hand. We'll fix you up. As they started walking towards the house, Eve ordered Dana, talk. Dana started her story as they entered the house. With Gina in the middle, they headed to the kitchen. I was coming home from school when I saw these two men. One was beating Gina up, Dana said. Gina was quiet as Eve sat her in a chair and carefully wiped the blood from her face with a wet towel. Eve checked carefully, checking Gina's eyes, ears, and nose. Looking at the bruising on her throat, she stopped Dana and asked Gina a few questions. Eve was listening to her voice and breathing to determine if there was any other damage. Go on, Dana. Describe the men, Eve said as Dana continued her description. Eve opened the refrigerator door, taking out an ever-present ice pack, used for moves gone wrong on the martial arts mat out back. She put the ice pack on the side of Gina's bruised face. Honey, hold this. It will keep the swelling down. Okay, Dana, stay with Gina. I'll get her a new blouse, Eve said as on her way up the stairs. She stopped and called the police, asking that they bring an EMS with them. Then a quick call to the hospital telling her supervisor that she had a family emergency and wouldn't be in today. Back with the girls, Eve explained that the police had to talk with them. Everything will be all right. Just tell the truth. Also, I asked for a nurse to give you a checkup. Eve was looking at Gina. Gina, I'm a nurse. So when I tell you that there is no damage, you will heal, you know I'm telling you the truth. Gina nodded in agreement. Gina, I need you to call your mom. I live with my aunt. She's a flight attendant. She won't be home till the day after tomorrow, and I can't call her. My sitter won't be at the house till 5, Gina explained. We should call the sitter then, Eve said. Her name is Alice, and she's new. I don't know her number, Gina answered. Okay. What's your phone number? We'll call the sitter at 5. Eve noted down the number as Gina called it out. Dana and Gina were still sitting in the kitchen when a plainclothesman detective and a uniformed officer and an EMS nurse showed up at the door. Eve led everybody into the kitchen. The detective directed the nurse to check out Gina and document her wounds. Stepping around the men, she noticed Eve. "Oh, hi, Eve. These your kids?" "Just the tall one, Susan. I think Gina, the short one, doesn't have any long-term trauma other than bruises and a split lip, but you make sure," Eve said. "So you're a doctor?" the detective asked Eve. "No, just a nurse. Susan and I work out of the same hospital." "You're Detective Lawrence," Eve said, recognizing. "You got shot in the left leg maybe 2 years ago. I took care of you at the hospital." The detective gave Eve a half smile and shrugged. He had been too doped up to remember. "Okay, where's the guy who beat up those other guys?" The ones we found on the sidewalk, over near the high school," he asked. "Oh, that was me," Dana said, her eyes wide. "Oh, that was, no, the tall one. Who beat up the bad guys?" the detective asked again. "That was me," Dana stood up, showing off her 5'7" still growing thin frame. Detective Lawrence was shaking his head. He began again. "The crossing guard saw a tall kid beating up those two bad guys. So who was that?" "That was Dana," Gina said, grabbing Dana's arm. "Come on, who was it?" the detective again asked, pointing his finger at Gina. "I believe that my daughter Dana," Eve stepped in. "She's well capable of that." "Come on, they had guns. Who was it?" the detective says, looking around. "Dana? Explain to the detective, please, what you did, move by move," Eve said to Dana. Dana put her hands up in the karate attack pose. "No, Dana," Eve said. "Tell in detail, do not demonstrate. Now sit down, please." "Well, I was across the street when I saw these guys slapping Gina really hard," Dana started. "Can you describe him? Was his partner with the guy attacking Gina?" The nurse had finished up with Gina. She handed the report on a clipboard to the detective who signed it. The nurse took off the top copy and handed it to him. "It's just like you said, Eve. There's nothing that wouldn't heal. See you in the hospital." The nurse gathered her things and made her way out the door. "Okay. Where were we?" The detective Lawrence folded the report and put it in his pocket. Dana went on to describe, move by move, what she did and what the bad guys did. A lot of her descriptions were martial arts terms. Eve would come in and give more generic descriptions of her moves. After a few more questions, Detective Lawrence was finally convinced he had to believe the unbelievable, that the young girl took on two dangerous men and on purpose and beat the hell out of them. It goes on from there, but I'm running out of time. I like to keep this up to under 15 minutes. Again, the books are available in every place. I finally got through to Amazon and is now finally listed on Amazon in both ebooks and paperback, and there's a hardback on there too. So the hardback is also available. And it's also Barnes & Noble's, 19 different countries, 19 different ebook sites, services, and distributed all over anyway, Amazon and everything. So, but you can also get it on my website. And it's Jane's Adventures in Storyland. It's long but easy to remember. It's www.janesadventuresinstoryland.com. Real easy to remember. So take a look on there. You'll find information on my books. You'll find information about me, my life, and everything. And you will also find out I have short stories and poems that are in there too. There's quite a few of them that you might want to take a look at, enjoy reading, and they're all free. It's no big deal. And then there's also what I call my writing life. This is just things about happen to you when you're writing a book. It's kind of like a blog. So that's in there too. So please take a look. And again, thank you for listening to me. I really appreciate it. And you all have a lovely day and a safe day too. Good night.